The desperate switch alarm blared at 6:03 a.m., jolting Lena awake. Olivia's weak cough from the adjacent bed confirmed what she already knew. Her roommate couldn't do the interview today. "Take my notes," Olivia rasped, pushing a folder across the sheets. "Just ... stick to the questions. Don't improvise." Lena stared at the Whitmore Tech press pass with Olivia's photo. "Liv, I can't impersonate you. Nate Whitmore eats journalists alive. Exactly why you're perfect." Olivia managed a weak smile. "You're the only person I know who isn't intimidated by billionaires." The subway ride to Whitmore Tower felt like a death march. Lena adjusted Olivia's borrowed blazer, praying her thrift store slacks wouldn't give her away. The security checkpoint alone nearly made her faint until she remembered Olivia's advice. Confidence sells the lie better than any ID. The elevator opened directly into Nate's office, all glass and steel, with a panoramic view that made Lena's stomach drop. Behind the monolithic desk sat the man himself, Nathaniel Whitmore, 33, youngest self-made tech billionaire. His icy blue eyes already dissecting her. "Ms. Carter," his voice held a dangerous calm. "You're late." Lena froze. Olivia's last name was Carter. She was in traffic. She bluffed, taking the offered seat. "Though I'm sure your driver never has that problem." Muscle twitched in Nate's jaw. "Let's begin." He tapped his pen. "First question." Lena opened Olivia's folder to the corporate questions, then hesitated. Something about the way Nate's fingers drummed the desk. Restless. Impatient reminded her of ... No, it couldn't be. But when he turned to pour coffee, the way his collar shifted revealed a tiny scar above his left ear. The same scar her summer camp friend Nate W. got falling out of their treehouse in 2004, without thinking. Lena blurted, "What happened to building that robot dog you promised when you were 12? Nate's coffee cup shattered on the marble floor. The silence that followed Lena's question was so thick she could hear the drip of spilled coffee hitting the floor. Nate's expression didn't change, but his knuckles whitened around his pen. Explain. Lena's pulse roared in her ears. She'd blown it. One impulsive question, and now Olivia's career and possibly hers was over. "I know." Nate stood abruptly, circling the desk until he loomed over her. "You don't get to walk in here, pretend to be someone else, and then ask me about that without explaining yourself." Lena swallowed hard. "You remember?" Muscle jumped. In Nate's jaw, "Of course I remember. You were the only person who ever beat me at chess." The admission punched the air from Lena's lungs. Nathaniel Whitmore was her Nate, the boy who'd shared his comic books under the camp bleachers. Who'd kissed her behind the archery range and promised to build her a robot dog when they grew up. "Then you know I'm not Olivia Carter," she whispered. Nate's mouth curved, but it wasn't a smile. "I knew the second you stepped off the elevator. Security flagged your ID mismatch before you reached my floor." Lena shot to her feet. "You let me. I wanted to see how far you'd take it." He stepped closer, his call on something expensive and woodsy wrapping around her. "Though I'll admit, the robot dog was a low blow." The old nickname sent a shiver down her spine. "Low blow, Lena." He'd called her that after she'd beaten him at poker with a pair of twos. Why are you really here?" Nate's voice dropped. "And don't say for the interview." Lena hesitated, then pulled out her phone, showing him a photo of Olivia in a hospital bed. "She's sick." This feature was her big break. "I couldn't let her lose it." Nate studied the image, his expression unreadable. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. "Still taking the fall for everyone, huh?" He tapped his desk, and the wall behind him lit up with security feeds. One showed Marcus, his CFO, watching their interview live from the next room. "Got 5 minutes before he bursts in here demanding your arrest." Lena's stomach dropped. "Arrest?" "Corporate espionage is a felony, Lena." Nate's eyes gleamed. "Unless we give him a better story." Before she could react, he yanked her against him and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was heat and teeth and 15 years of unfinished business. Lena's fingers tangled in his tie as the door flew open. "What the hell?" Marcus's voice cut through the haze. Nate pulled back just enough to growl. "Not now." Lena, dazed, stared at Marcus's horrified face over Nate's shoulder. You know her?" Marcus sputtered. Nate's thumb brushed Lena's lower lip, wiping away her smudged lipstick. Since we were 12, he shot Marcus a look. Cancel my next meeting. We're going to the lab.
Us.
As Marcus retreated, Nate murmured against Lena's ear, now, about that robot dog, ... The robotics lab smelled like solder and ambition. Lena trailed her fingers, along a workbench littered with circuit boards as Nate led her past engineers, who stared a little too long. This is where the magic happens, he said, guiding her toward a glass enclosure at the back. Inside, a sleek robotic dog stood, motionless on a charging pad, its design identical to the crayon sketch they'd made at camp. Lena's breath caught. You built it. Nate entered a code, and the dog's eyes lit up, blue, version 4.7. Still can't fetch worth a damn. When Lena reached to pet it, Nate caught her wrist. Don't. His grip was urgent. It's not a toy yet, reads biometrics. Pulse temperature? His thumb brushed her racing heartbeat. Lie detector tests. A chill ran down her spine. You use these for interviews? Only the ones I care about? Nate's gaze dropped to her lips. You always did wear your tells in your eyebrows. The dog suddenly nudged Lena's leg, its speaker emitting a distorted bark, the same sound Nate had made impersonating a dog at camp. You programmed our inside jokes into a corporate spy tool?
Oh, yes.
Before Nate could answer, Marcus burst in holding a tablet. We have a problem. The screen showed Twitter exploding with hashtag #WhoIsLena and a blurred security still of their kiss. Billionaires, mystery woman, imposter, or long-lost love? Nate's phone buzzed a board member's name flashing. He silenced it with a curse. I'll handle this. He pulled Lena closer. But we need to move fast. The boardroom, Sat showed. WWAWA 12 angry faces glared across the conference table. She impersonated a journalist. Marcus slammed his palms on the glass. That's fraud. Nate leaned back unruffled. And yet our stock jumped 3% since the photos leaked. Funny how romance humanizes a brand. Lena, seated stiffly beside him, whispered, You're using this? Adapting, he corrected under his breath. The oldest board member, a woman with steel gray hair, studied Lena Ms. Sullivan, Lena admitted, giving her real name for the first time. I'm an art student. Olivia Carter is my roommate. Asps. Circled the table. Nate flicked a switch under the table. The robotic dog trotted in, projecting holographic news headlines. Whitmore, Tech's secret project. Service dogs for veterans OM and ACE. Sparks interest in new AI lie, and either board's outrage turned. Two murmurs of interest, Marcus turned purple. You staged this. Nate stood, his chair scraping. Lena and I met at Camp Willow. I've been trying to find her for years. He pulled a worn comic book from his briefcase, Sex-Men number 137, the same one they'd read together. Some things are worth the wait. The steel-haired woman arched a brow. And the fraud? A misunderstanding? Nate's hand found Lena's under the table. She was delivering her roommate's questions. I recognized her voice and ... got distracted. The dog chose that moment to play a recording of 12-year-old Nate. Lena Sullivan, will you go steady? Check yes or no? You kept that? I keep everything. His smile was private, just for her. The board voted 11-1 to let her stay. The Siowan Afisa Siowan 8's penthouse was all sharp lines and softer shadows at Midnight, Lena traced the spine of their comic book on his shelf. You really looked for me? Every summer until college? Nate loosened his tie. Then the IPO happened and ... He gestured at the skyline view. Distractions. She turned. Why didn't you say something when you recognized me? I wanted to see. If you'd remember me, his voice roughened. Or if I was just some rich kid's summer fluke.
Ow.
Lena stepped closer, stopping when her toes bumped his. You were my first kiss. I know. Nate cupped her face. I'm aiming for your last. When their lips met this time, there were no cameras, no audience. Just the quiet hum of the city below, and a robotic dog worried disapprovingly from its charging pad. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and betrayal. Lena gripped Olivia's chart, the words blurring. Neurological toxicity. Whitmore prototype number 227. Irreversible neural damage. This can't be right, she whispered. Olivia stirred weakly in her bed, her once sharp eyes now glassy. You look ... like you've seen a ghost. Lena shoved the chart at Nate, who stood frozen in the doorway. Explain. His face paled. 227 was scrapped years ago. It was never then. Why is it in her blood work? Lena's voice cracked. A shadow crossed the threshold. Marcus leaned against the doorframe, sipping coffee. Tragic, isn't it? The things we inherit from old bosses. He nodded at Nate. Like his father's habit of testing prototypes on interns. Nate's fist connected with Marcus's jaw before Lena could blink. Coffee splattered the walls as monitors screamed. The DIVI Deplice light stained Nate's penthouse blue. You knew, Lena accused, watching officers lead Marcus away? About your father's human trials? Nate scrubbed blood from his knuckles. I shut it down when I took over, not before Olivia got sick. She hurled a vase against the wall. She was 18, Nate. A scholarship kid like me. The robotic dog whirred between them, projecting a holographic date, July 2012, 3 months after. Nate inherited the company. Lena's breath left her in a rush. You kept testing? Nate's silence was answer enough. The Sassrife set and found Lena at Olivia's bedside, Nate's confession burning her pocket. I authorized one final trial, to find a cure for what my father started. Olivia's fingers twitched. In hers he ... paid my tuition ... after. Lena's tears hit their clasped hands. Of course Nate had. Guilt ran his life. Her phone buzzed. Day news alert. Whitmore. Tech CEO steps down amid CNDL. The attached photo showed Nate turning himself in to federal agents. Olivia squeezed weakly. Go. The VISIT, the interrogation room, reeked of stale coffee. And regret. Nate looked up, his designer shirt swapped for prison orange. Should hate me. I do. Lena slid a comic across the table. X-Men number 137. Inside, she'd drawn a new panel. Cyclops taking the fall for Wolverine. Nate's throat worked. I didn't protect her. You're protecting me. She pressed her palm to the glass. Marcus planted. Those records? I have proof. His fingers brushed hers through the barrier. Then why am I here? 'Cause real heroes, she whispered, don't let their girls fight alone. Outside, federal agents waited to take her statement. The courtroom smelled like wood, polish, and stale justice. Lena adjusted her mic, Nate's handwritten notes burning in her pocket. Whatever happens, stay angry. The truth needs teeth. The prosecutor smirked. Ms. Sullivan, isn't it true you conspired with Mr. Whitmore to... No. Lena slammed Olivia's recovered journal on the stand. Page 43. Dated before Nate took over. The room erupted as the judge read aloud. Dr. Whitmore says the neural trials are too dangerous, but Marcus promised me a recommendation letter if I just test one more prototype. Nate's cuffs clicked open behind her. The FDR mate, Olivia's. Art Studio buzzed with reporters 6 months later. Does it feel? One shouted as Lena unveiled her first exhibit. Ghosts in the Machine, featuring Whitmore Tech's discarded prototypes repurposed into sculptures. Like Justice? She grinned at Nate, now clean-shaven and wearing his old camp hoodie as he handed out pamphlets for their new foundation. The Sullivan-Whitmore Ethics Initiative. Even Olivia, now speaking in full sentences again, teased from her wheelchair. Still think I should have taken that interview myself? The promised Kapiti Willow Lake glittered at dusk, exactly as they remembered. Nate knelt in the same spot he had at 12. But this time, the ring wasn't made from a soda tab. Lena Sullivan, his voice cracked. Turns out I can build that robot. Dog. But what I really want is to build a life with you. The robotic pup at their feet beeped impatiently until she said yes. 5 years later, the Times headline, former tech villain opens first ethical AI hospital. The photo showed Nate holding their newborn daughter, her tiny fist wrapped around what else? Soda tab ring.